What's going on, guys? Felwinter here, bringing you another Destiny 2 video. Today's video is going to be my in-depth review for the Apex Predator rocket launcher found in Last Wish. This was the Last Wish weapon that I was definitely the most interested in getting my hands on the pattern for, getting the craft. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you the TLDR real quick. What you want to craft on this thing is quick launch, impact casing, a handling masterwork, enhanced reconstruction, and enhanced bait and switch. Although in this review we're obviously going to go over all the perks, but that is the role that you're going to land on with this thing. It is the premier raid DPS option. Outside of the dungeon rocket, of course that requires a very specific role, good RNG, which I haven't landed that rocket, period, let alone the god roll of that. So if you don't have the god roll Cold Comfort, what I would highly recommend is getting the pattern for Apex and crafting it with that roll, as you will be able to output massive DPS and top your team's meters. Before we get into the main perks, I actually want to start with the minors here. Quick launch is a no-brainer, but when it comes to the magazine, you do have an option between impact or alloy casing. This is simply going to come down to, are you hot swapping or are you just reloading in between every single rocket? If you are hot swapping, impact casing is the clear winner, and you want to pair that with a handling masterwork. However, if you are reloading in between each rocket, it makes more sense to go with alloy casing and a reload masterwork, as that's going to give you a plus 40 to your reload stat. Combining it with explosive pack, the origin trait, will give you a massive 100 reload stat, meaning that you can reload this rocket faster and do more TPS that way if you are reloading in between shots. Now let's move on to the perks. Starting with the left column, the ones that I want to focus on are Demolitionist and Slideways to start. Both of these are the combo variant pieces. So Demolitionist, obviously whenever you throw a grenade, you're going to be able to reload a rocket for free. Now the thing with this is Reconstruction does this, but slightly better, because you can go ahead and just do a normal reload into a grenade throw, and then Reconstruction will load in the second rocket for free. Whereas with Demolitionist, you need to space anyway, so unless you're doing it as part of a massive combo with something like the Radiant Dance Machines or the Rain of Fire Warlock exotic, you really can't space that if you just throw a second grenade anyway, so you're going to need to reload at some point in the combo or swap cancel just to give space for the demo internal cooldown to go. So I would highly recommend just going Reconstruction over Demolitionist anyway. Slideways is a little bit trickier. Obviously this can be used with part of combos, again with Rain of Fire or with Radiant Dance Machines, to basically fire off your entire reserves. The thing is, this is a little bit more work, and you will be absolutely hated by anyone who's in a well with you while you're sliding around trying to get these free reloads. So again, I lean towards Reconstruction as the best option. It will of course give you just 2 rockets at all times to just throw at whatever you need to kill, which is fantastic, but of course for its DPS purposes, you can use it as a glorified auto-loading holster, you can use it as part of comboing. It has so much functionality, and I definitely think it is the best option in this column. The other perk that I do want to mention here is tracking. There are certain bosses that move quite a bit, so tracking could be useful on those, but again, I think if you're going to need tracking, you might want to go with a precision frame rocket just for the free tracking, so that way you can get a good solid perk here instead. In the second column, there are a couple perks I want to go over. The first one is going to be Surrounded. So Surrounded is incredibly situational, however it is the biggest DPS increase on this rocket if you can get it to work. It is a 55% increase at base, 62.5 at enhanced. Again, the question is ultimately going to come down to the situation you find yourself in. If you're surrounded by 3 adds at all times during a boss DPS phase, and you don't kill yourself by shooting a rocket in the middle of all that, then maybe that is the perk, but I definitely think that is super situational. Keep an eye out though, it may come up. The next perk I want to focus on is Explosive Light. Now we have this on other rockets, but the main benefit of Explosive Light compared to Bait and Switch is Explosive Light has the benefit of being able to do the extra damage of the rocket up front, whereas Bait and Switch is not going to buff the initial rocket damage. What this means is in Nightfall settings, where you're going to be shooting a rocket at a champion perhaps, you want that initial rocket to do as much damage as possible. And in that setting, Explosive Light or Vorpal is going to be better than Bait and Switch, because in often cases you're not firing 2 rockets at a champion in a GM because you're trying to conserve ammo. In a raid setting, that gets thrown out the window and you are just spamming rockets, meaning that you can take full advantage of Bait and Switch. Explosive Light also doesn't benefit Wolfpack rounds. The buff to 25% damage doesn't affect them, whereas the Bait and Switch 35%, the Vorpal 10%, and the Surrounded 55%, all of that does buff Wolfpack rounds, so that's also something to keep in mind. The next perk we're going to focus on here is Bipod, just for a second. Bipod is the worst perk on this rocket. Do not get it. The 40% damage nerf makes it completely unusable. It is a meme perk. Stay away from it at all costs. Obviously, the main perk that we're looking at is bait and switch. Shooting the target with both of your primary and secondary weapon and then switching to this rocket for the final shot is going to give you 10 seconds, 11 with the enhanced, of 35% extra damage. Again, this buffs Wolfpack rounds. This is fantastic for your DPS. It is important to know that with this rocket in general, it is all about how well you can combo it. No matter what your combo is, it is going to determine how good your DPS is. This thing could be the best DPS weapon in the game, or it could just be another rocket. It depends on your ability to combo and use it correctly. While I was gathering footage for this thing, I was not at all perfect with my combos. I was still working, learning. Each fight that I was in with it, I was starting to gain more experience using it and getting better each and every time. My numbers were getting better, and I feel like I still have a lot of room for improvement. I don't think you're just going to pick this thing up and be able to put out the top numbers. I think you're going to need to work at it, be able to figure out the combos you can pull off. There are combos with Izanagi, there are combos with double special, there are combos where the most simple combo, of course, is just shoot 2 rockets, immediately reload, getting you that next rocket, and then throwing a grenade or throwing a ranged melee, and then Reconstruction will reload the next rocket. So that's 2 more rockets, fire them off, reload, space with another grenade or another ranged melee, whichever one you have. That's another 2 rockets. And then your last rocket, you just space with 1 super in between. Reconstruction will load the last rocket, you fire off the 7th, and then you're done. If you have double reserves, you space with another reload melee combo or reload grenade combo. Speaking of, throwing the grenade in between the rockets is going to proc Explosive Pack, the origin trait on this, which will increase reload speed and stability. The stability is of course useless, but the reload speed means you can combo off quicker if you are trying to reload this thing. There are a lot of different ways you can use it. I don't think there's a single wrong one. One other thing that the Apex Predator does not get praised for is that it is the best ad clear rocket in the game. And while I don't think anyone is going to craft this role, I just want to let everyone know that it exists, and that is Incandescent Vorpal. The combination of Incandescent Vorpal can completely eliminate massive groups of ads by causing incredibly damaging ignitions and scorching everything in the area, burning it all to death. Again, I think the Reconstruction bait and switch combo is definitely the way to go, but I did want to make that a note in this review. Lastly, I do want to do a brief section on PvP. This is not the best frame for a PvP rocket. I definitely lean more into the high impact frames, ergo the Roar of the Bear from Iron Banner or Tomorrow's Answer from Trials. But still, this is a serviceable rocket. I would focus mostly on velocity perks and then go ahead and add either tracking if you would like easier shots, or threat detector if you want a little bit more information even while this thing is stowed on your back. For the 4th column perk in PvP, I would definitely go Explosive Light. That way if you do pick up an orb at any point and then you end up having heavy ammo, you will have max blast radius for that rocket, giving you the most amount of killing potential. Still, I cannot emphasize enough, I think this is an excellent PvE rocket, one of the best, if not the best, raid rocket currently in the game. It may fall a little bit in Nightfall settings where an Explosive Light Hothead might just outdo this, but outside of that, I think this is a solid option that you can use in many different builds and settings, and it is super versatile at what it does. I definitely think it is worth going to Last Wish, getting this crafted as quickly as possible, and adding it to your arsenal. With that being said, let me know if I missed anything down in the comments below. This is Felwinter signing out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.